Good morning. It's still morning, can you believe it? The time is 11:59 on the 21st of August 2025, and welcome to Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. To my wonderful YouTube audience and subscribers, you're amazing. I don't know why you subscribe to me, because most of the time I read crazy stories and tell real lived experiences, but some of it's a bit wild too. And you must like the sound of my voice, or my energy output, or my attitude, or there's something you're liking from it, people of Earth. Anyway, and greetings also to all sentient beings across the known cosmos, all other interdimensional entities of love, light, peace, natural justice, honor, integrity, and righteousness, and manifestations of love that filtered down to us from Creator and Source Field, through all the gods and fae and all manifestations of holiness. Although, you know, there's yin and yang in the multiverse, and sometimes we have to swing between the Sephiroth and the yin and the yang. Just let the birds out. Little Bo hasn't come out, but they're preening happily. And behind me I bought Kermie some new toys. You can't quite see it. Let's get in a bit closer. I'm very happy about their new toys. I gave him a much bigger, chunkier swing that he can actually chew on and bite. And I found to my chagrin this morning that he's been chewing and biting on his very colourful, lovely ladder. So hopefully he'll bite on the new swing instead, because, you know, it'll be more chewable. But it's a parrot thing, you know. They've got to bite down and chew and like, I kind of get it. It's probably why I eat lollies. You know, it's nice to have something delicious to chomp on. I've had quite a few lollies this morning. Some on a bit of a sugar high, and it won't be good for my gut, and a bad mama tea. But then I had a late breakfast, like a proper breakfast. Well, not really, because it was toast with butter and honey. But I needed the butter because, you know, when you have vitamin D, you've got to have it with soluble fats. The best thing to have with your vitamin D, you know, tablets or chewables or however they arrive, is to have it with avocado. But I don't have any avocado at the moment, so I thought butter with honey will do the trick. So I feel all warm and happy inside. I bought a new cage for little Bo yesterday and set it up and took it outside this morning. Was all excited and thinking about putting them out in the garden, and then it poured down with rain. So frantically I've covered his new outside cage, which I'm a bit annoyed about. It's a bit flimsy. It's not going to last long. I'm annoyed about it. But I covered it with a big sheet of plastic bubble wrap that one of the cages originally came in, just to protect it from the rain a bit. And then I got copper wire and I wired it onto its stand, because it's flimsy and it keeps falling off. So I'm annoyed about that, actually. But look, it wasn't very expensive, and you get what you pay for, don't you, darlings? Yes. So when that wears out, I think I'll buy another more solid one like this one. But I don't know what I'll do, because that one comes with very shitty small wheels, which don't really work. So I'll have to design a cage to the best of my ability for outside that's a bit more weatherproof and wheelable and solid. But anyway, I'll make do with the one I bought yesterday, and I'll make it work for as long as it takes. And I'm excited to put little Beau out in a much bigger outside cage. It's not quite as big as this one, but it sits taller, and anyway, he's gonna love it. He's got no idea the surprise I've got for you tomorrow, little Beau. He's got no idea. So I was putting it together all night, but he hasn't seen it yet. And I'm excited. I'm excited. My birds have everything they need now. Good cages and lovely toys. And now I've just got to get them tamed down and used to me, and I guess that will happen over time. Kermie! Bye! Bye-bye, Kermie. No, they're busy being fluffmeisters. Right, my beautiful Rati, my cleaning lady, has just left. Oh, she's a lovely woman. I tell her all my funny little stories from the past, and she laughs with me, and she's a blessing. Very devout Muslim woman, but an absolute delight and a blessing. As are all my wonderful friends, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for having good, kind people in my life, and I'm still very soul nourished after my debrief with my doctor yesterday. He's also a veritable earth angel, and very grateful. Long-term relationship, that one, it's a professional relationship because he's my psychiatrist, but on the 20th of October it will be 15 years. It's a long time. So but you know, he does his best to protect me and make sure I surf my trauma activations and process them appropriately and stay in a perfect Zen zone of reasonable equanimity, although occasionally I do blow. You've seen it on my YouTube videos when I've had a pressure cooker stress relief and blown. But I'm only human, and I'm allowed to. I'm allowed, and I take ownership of that. So here we are, chapter 28, Ratwell. Ratwell. Wonder what they mean by Ratwell. Must be someone's name. I have no idea. I guess we're about to find out. Excuse me. I'm still got an asthmatic cough left over from that last lurgy. It's almost 4 weeks on Saturday, and it's going to take me a while to clear that, I guess. That's been a journey too. Anyway, let's continue reading the story. I liked him. Everybody liked him. He had a great personality, great sense of humour. We had a lot of laughs together. Bear in mind he'd be saying laughs and have, but being Canadian, but I'm just reading it with my normal Kiwi, Australian, New Zealand, Australian accent. Because, you know, it takes a lot of commitment to stay in character the whole time, and I slide away, sliding away. What you doing, handsome boy? Are you going to come and see the mama? Come see the mama. Why did you come over and sit on my shoulder and show people of Earth what a pretty boy you are? Yes. Come on. Come on, Kermie boy. Come on, Kimmy boy. He says, no, Mamati, I'm preening. I've got very important birdie work to do. You get on with your work and I'll get on with mine. All right, Kimmy boy. It's just hoping for some interactions of the birdie num-num kind, you understand? Right, all the pages flipped over. Right, here we go. Lorne Campbell on a Hells Angels turncoat. Turncoat is another word for traitor. It's a shame since they liked him so much. Goes to show you never can tell. Campbell was in the Angels Keswick clubhouse, an hour's drive north of Toronto, when a visitor he had never met before started talking to him. You from Oshawa? Yeah. You know Lorne Campbell? Yeah. When was the last time you seen him? Bad bloody English, it should be you saw him, but Canadian, you understand. Canadian. Although I know Canadians who speak very excellent, perfectly grammatic English. So it's biker, you understand. No, I know bikers who speak perfect English. It's just upbringing and lack of education. Happens. It happens everywhere. I'm with him all the time. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? I'm Lorne Campbell. The man held out his arms and said, punch me in the face, man. Campbell declined, although he agreed that the stranger deserved a 5-knuckle massaging. That sort of thing was getting more commonplace now. Once, at a party, a woman gestured towards Campbell and argued with Evelyn that he wasn't really Campbell at all. Campbell enjoyed eavesdropping on the debate between his wife and the stranger, who talked about Lorne Campbell as if she were an authority on the man. A Hells Angel patch brought increased attention not just from police, but also from hangers-on, some of whom were eager to turn informer for the chance at big dollars from the police. Big dollars. There's a word for people who do that. A slang word, I can't remember what it is. It'll come to me. Not just turncoat, but dog, something like that. Anyway. Others who sidled up to the Angels were trying to use the club's tough reputation to seal their own shady business deals, pretending they had a tight connection to bikers that just wasn't there. A police operation by the Provincial Biker Enforcement Unit served as a profound wake-up call for the Angels about the dangers of informers within their ranks. Dubbed Project Shirley, spelled S-H-I-R-L-E-A. It's usually spelt with a Y on the end. So I don't know whether to pronounce it Shirleya or just Shirley. We'll go with Shirley. It ran for 3 years, culminating in charges laid in April 2003 against members of the Keswick, Toronto Downtown, East Toronto, North Toronto and Simcoe County charters on a variety of charges relating to cocaine, marijuana and prescription drugs flowing from Quebec into Ontario. My cardigan's wet because I was out tying copper wire to secure my flimsy cage on its stand in the fucking rain, and I've just realised I better take it off, otherwise I'll get sick again, won't I? I'll get sick again, and I'm actually still a bit sick. We can't have that, people of Earth. Can't have that. 97% saturation. I tried it out on my Apple phone that I'm still learning how to use, by the gods. 97% saturation is, you know, not too bad, but it's a bit low. Explains why I feel tired all the time. So I better get wet, clammy woolen cardigans off me and dry up a bit. Right, where were we? While Campbell wasn't charged, Shirley also effectively dismantled the Road Warriors, the Eastern Ontario affiliate club that Campbell had run for a short while. I also used it to do my sleep, to test my sleep last night, just out of curiosity. And yeah, it seemed to be reasonably accurate too. You know, I only got this because it was a bonus with my phone, and they gave it to me very cheaply, and I'm still learning it. Still learning how to navigate it all, and I put it away for a couple of months. It was just like, don't like wearing a watch actually. Don't like being tracked, and I don't like watches, but I just wanted to see if it's what it can do. Feed information about my blood stats back to the government or whoever's interested in these sort of things. It's odd, isn't it? Our world, how we, you know, we're like those animals that have tracking devices on them. We're under surveillance 24/7, under CCTV and under GPS, and it got a bit wet today, so I'm a bit worried, but it'll dry out. I quickly dried it, but under the screen it's a bit damp. Damn it. Oh well. I don't know what I've done there, but I've triggered something. Right. Me and technology, because I'm an old lady now. I don't really understand it. As soon as I eventually start to understand things, and then new technology comes out and I've got to relearn it. Like, I freaked out with this new phone when I got it home. I thought it wasn't set up properly. It was. It was me. I didn't know that the home button had changed and everything had changed. I was like, fuck. And any changes just throw me for a loop, you know. I had a full meltdown over that. Don't like changes. Just get used to getting something to work to my satisfaction, and then they change it. It's like, rude, but rude. But anyway, got to keep up with the technology while you're alive, people of Earth. But they're tracking us. They're tracking us. You're tracking me now as we speak. What's that Tanya Aaron's up to? Dunno, raving on about being tracked again. She's a herd animal. Not quite though. There's certain things I did not participate in. Half dead as I am at the best of times, I wasn't going to participate in that, people of Earth. By the gods. It's going to be interesting in the next 10 years if I survive that long, or even 20 years, how it all plays out for my fellow Earthlings. It's frightening, actually. But they're busily distracting us with promising the Epstein files will be finally released on Friday, as if. And, you know, 31-Atlas is apparently giving off artificial light. So they've got us looking here, there and everywhere, but what's really happening to us, you understand? It's odd. Pay attention to the distractions. I personally do believe that there's a chance that an advanced civilization might be coming to us, because we put the invitation out with which Apollo was it? I've forgotten. One of the Apollo space flights we put out there was a map to how to get to planet Earth and showing what we look like, male and female, and our genetics, our DNA and our everything. We even sent them a piece of, I think it was it Beethoven? Or we even showed them our classical music, a sample of our classical music, and put a lot of information out to complete utter strangers that we didn't know who would find it, whether they'd be benign or malevolent. It was a bit of a huge bloody risk, like hanging your underwear out in the front bloody veranda saying, come up and see us sometime. And now they're coming to see us, we're all freaking out. But I'm not freaking out. Do you know why? Because we desperately need them to come and sort out a lot of issues on planet Earth, and they may have the advanced technology to do it, and they may be benign, and they may even let us all live, and they may even come and live amongst us as equals and help preserve our planet, because they're very worried about that, I believe, the preservation of this beautiful blue planet. So I have a feeling of excitement and hope and awe about it, which I'm probably one of the few people to think like that. Everyone else thinks we're going to die and we're doomed, and, you know, it's going to be the end times and it's all over, Red Rover. Nah. That religion makes money out of doom and gloom scenarios, feeds off it like loosh feed and psychic vampirism. It always has and it always will. A religion built on Roman slaves, carried their own darkness and perpetuated it on their children for thousands of years. So the ancient ones coming back from the future, their future, in the space-time continuum, the ones who seeded us here, you never know, might actually save our sorry, ridiculous, hairless primate asses. Well, that's my worldview, and I'm sticking to it. It can't be any worse than the mess Homo sapiens have made of this place. This beautiful planet where everything and everyone should have lived as if we were still in the Garden of Eden and perfect harmony with enough resources for all and beauty and joy and delight and peace. Well, we have to work towards that and make it happen. Not with COVIDian depopulation tactics, but just with expanded consciousness, being aware that there's room enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone. Not feed into the doomsayers and the evil, perverted ones that just feed us ugliness and negativity, infiltrate our souls until we all turn rabid and rancid and savage and vicious out of fear programming. I won't allow it. Gonna have to take my Ventolin. Don't mind me. It's because of the dampness, isn't it, boys? You're very quiet today, little Bo and Kermie. No singing. You didn't sing me a song. I'll have to find myself a new GP because it's the last of my Ventolin and it expired in April. Dear Goddess, I've managed without it for a long time. I haven't had an asthmatic episode. I've been doing very well. That one's got bones in it though, by the gods. Anyway, you see, I talk about peace and beauty and full life force and vibrancy, and then I nearly choked to death. There's dark angels out there, people of Earth, that try to stymie me from my end goal. We cannot allow it to happen. We have to fight with everything in us, body, mind, spirit and soul, for our beautiful life, with our beloved ones, our community, our tribes, the ones who love us and include us and tolerate us at times, but include us and stay loyal and stay faithful and stay true. Otherwise, better off on your own. Sometimes it's the only way to survive too, being a loner. Right, on a happy note, where was I? Campbell wasn't charged, Shirley also effectively dismantled the Road Warriors, the Eastern Ontario affiliate club that Campbell had run for a short while. This is what comes of sitting in a fucking wet cardigan, people of Earth. By the gods. Anyway, carry on. A guard at the Newmarket Courthouse escorted Hell's Angel Dave Shaky Atwill to the basement bullpen to join other prisoners facing Shirley charges. I'm just going to see, just for shits and giggles, what my blood oxygen is like now. This is why I don't like this. It becomes obsessional and I don't like being controlled. But I'm just curious. Improved since this morning. We're up to 98, even with a massive bloody asthma attack. Well, anyway, a guard escorted Hell's Angel Dave Shaky Atwill to the basement bullpen to join other prisoners facing Shirley charges. Atwill was the Sergeant-at-Arms of the downtown Toronto Angels, a position intended for tough men. Dear Goddess. He weighed in the neighbourhood of 285 pounds, which sounds a dreadful lot, but I don't know what that is in kilos. You'll have to Google it. I don't have time. I mean, I have time, but I'm not going to keep interrupting this transmission, you understand. Which made him look imposing enough for the job of enforcing club rules. But Shaky Dave couldn't stop sniffling or crying like a little boy who'd been given a schoolyard wedgie as he told the guard about how his father was a respected businessman. Shaky Dave also boasted between tears of playing university football for the Western Mustangs which would have been news to anyone who was actually familiar with Ontario University football. The guard told him he should dry his eyes before he joined the other prisoners in the bullpen, sounding very much like a concerned teacher comforting a skittish child on his first day of kindergarten. After Shaky Dave got bail, Campbell was disgusted to see him in the courtroom hallway, joking with police. I called Atwell over. He was talking to the cops like he was their friend. I asked why he was talking to the cops. He said they took his father's computer and he was trying to get it back. Campbell was even more disgusted that Shaky Dave tried to defend his behaviour. That's your fucking lawyer's job? You don't walk over and talk to the cops. They're not your friend. Certainly weren't my friend when I was struggling with my 2 little girls being threatened every day for 18 months by those verminous, low-life scum, dog bastards. They were all verminous and evil. And now I'm a little old lady. They look after me a bit, but I needed looking after then with my 2 little children, keeping their mental health pristine and give them some kind of stability and security instead of letting those assholes threaten us every day. Anyway, Glenn, wherever you are, the only real man in Waterford West. The only one. A real man. Tribe of Judah, former rebel, but a real man. Blessed be. Despite his tears and comfort with police, there was still something likeable about Shaky Dave, who had previously belonged to the Paradise Riders. Shaky Dave, excuse me. Shaky Dave was among the PDR members who folded into the Angels in 2000. He was the kind of guy who needed to be liked, and certainly lots of senior Angels seemed to enjoy his quick banter. Donnie Peterson, the well-respected spokesman for the Angels for Central Canada, was the best man at his wedding, while Atwell was Master of Ceremonies at the wedding of downtown Vice President Doug Miles. I wonder where Glenn and his family are now. It's been I moved out of there in June 1999. What's that? 26 years? I still wouldn't mind having a reunion with him and shaking his hand and telling him how grateful I am for his courage to care about me and my little girls. A truly decent man. It's all it takes, people of Earth. The courage to care. Shaky Dave did have a willingness to pitch in on club business. He alternately held the posts of the Charter's co-treasurer, road captain, and sergeant-at-arms. A road captain's responsible for making sure club runs are well attended, while the duties of a sergeant-at-arms are security and discipline. Security tasks were natural for him, since he was a long-time salesperson at a local store that specialised in secret listening and filming devices. His club duties included regularly sweeping the Hells Angels Eastern Avenue clubhouse for hidden recording devices. He tried to say that he was called Shaky Dave because he was a tough guy who could shake people down. But no one seemed to buy that. A more likely explanation was the profound twitchiness that his fondness for cocaine gave him. Somehow, despite his proportions, he exuded a vulnerability. Part of the reason was his tendency to talk like a guest on Oprah or The View, spouting psychobabble like, "I was having a pity party and I was in a bad place personally." Shaky Dave would say he was in a bad place physically in the fall of 2005, when another Toronto Hells Angel approached him about how someone could go about killing a police agent involved in the Project Shirley operation. That only made Shaky Dave shakier. I'm going to go and get another cardigan. I'm going to shake myself if this keeps up. I'll shake myself right into the fucking grave. Dear goddess. This can get hung up to dry. Right, my boys. Your mother, your wonderful, gorgeous mother, is going to recalibrate. Better. Might put the heater on, my boys. I'm sure you're just as cold as the mama tea is. Are you cold, my little fluffy bum? The little fluff moisture? Right, sorry about that, people of Earth, but that cardigan was quite wet. It's wet my chair and everything, so I really need to look after myself better. I'm really like a child at times. I really am. I'm a self-immolator. It's from years and years of abuse and trauma. I sometimes forget that I need to nurture myself. And I nurture myself with food, but I don't always nurture myself in other ways. Right, here we go. Lost my spot. He had been working as a police informant since the previous March, feeding bits of information to the cops. None of the bikers had a clue that Shaky Dave had once applied to be a Durham police officer and hadn't made the cut. Dear Goddess. Well, anyway. I'm plutzing. I know, I'm plutzing. Anyone who has ever been a prison guard or a cop, or anyone who has ever applied for those jobs, is barred from entry into the Angels or any other outlaw biker club. Shaky Dave's Project Shirley drug charges had fizzled when the court found that the wiretap used against him was improper. That should have calmed him down, but instead Dave got even shakier. I knew a Dave I could make shake just by looking at him too. Motherfucker. That was for different reasons that he was shaking, you understand? Pure unadulterated lust. Wow, I guess I had it going on back in the day, baby girls and baby boys. But I'm old now, thank the Goddess. After the other angel told him, I'm old but I'm not dead yet, the reports of my demise are greatly exaggerated. Anyway, you have to laugh. After the other angel told him of the murder plan, Shaky Dave became an active police agent working full-time to put his clubmates in a bad place, namely jail. His information now appeared in police files under the heading Agent 3859. Around that time, the Sudbury Charter of the Hells Angels was folding, as Campbell was profoundly dissatisfied with the quality of membership candidates. Little did Campbell know that, as he was discussing shifting his membership to the Angels' downtown Toronto charter, Shaky Dave was wearing a police body pack recording device to downtown meetings. He also wore it. Stop eating all the time, fat bird. You're getting fat. He says, you can talk, Mama T. He's got a point there. I'm catching up for 2 weeks of having no appetite. It's been intense, it's been formidable, it's been... My goodness. Kookaburra just landed on the washing line. Can you see it? On the Hills hoist? No? Can't quite see him, can we? Bugger. I can see him, but why can't we see him on camera? He's gone now, that's why. Duh. Well, there you go. Mystery solved. He's not gone. Let me take this charger off. There you go. He's eating the chicken scraps I gave him. Happy bird. Very happy bird. See, I even look after the wild birds. I do. Titania's real. Gotta look after the wild ones. Gotta look after the tamed and broken down ones too. Gotta look after the magical, wild, free, ebullient, righteous, out there, courageous, magical ones too. To myself, because no one else is going to give me a pep talk, except for my psychiatrist once every fortnight, you understand. But he's a wonderful man. He really, truly is my earth angel. More and more I see it. I'm so grateful to have such wonderful support in my life. So very grateful. Not just him, but, you know, when I see my friend Lynn, and when I see my friend and brother Jared, and, you know, Rati coming on Thursdays is lovely too. So, you know, I've got good, kind people in my life, and I'm grateful for all of them. All of the other people that I encounter on my nights out who are sweet and kind to me too. I love you all. I do. I really do appreciate and value you all. I get mad sometimes when I'm being, you know, systemically abused, because I'm not stupid, people of Earth. But I realise that not all of you are responsible for that. And, you know, eventually I'll find out who's behind all of that. But there's good people in my world, and they make up for the rat bags. Right, what have we got going on here? Trying to get that kookaburra on camera, but I can see him, but it's must be the angle my phone's sitting on. Right, let's carry on. Let's carry on being awesome, people of Earth. If we're not awesome, we're mediocre and mundane, dragging your sorry tuchuses through, but together we're going to make it. You, me and everyone. It starts with up here. Determination, courage, and real love. Real love. Solid. I must be high on my Ventolin. You don't get high on Ventolin, but you do get the shakes. I'll be a shaky Tanya if I have any more of that shit. I hate medications. You notice the cough's calmed down a bit since I had some though, so necessary evil. By the gods. What am I going to do finding a GP that treats me with respect and decency? How am I going to get my Ventolin? Guess I'll just rock up to the ED department of a hospital and say I don't have a GP. They'll have to give me a script. Sit there trying not to die for hours, won't I? I won't wait till I'm sick though, I'll go when I'm healthy. They'll probably turn me away and say get a GP, but I don't want one. Don't trust them anymore. That last one, trying to extort money out of me, I was like, are you fucking for real? Haggling for money like some backstreet hooker and some back alley somewhere. I couldn't believe it. I still to this day can't believe he did that to me. Like, are you serious? Well, anyway, now I need Ventolin to keep myself alive, so I'll have to swallow my pride and find a GP. Fuck's sake. Fuck it all. Seriously. Didn't go near one with the sickness. I didn't even bother to try and get antibiotics because I was very, very inflamed all inside, but I knew I wasn't all that infected. Well, it was a bit touch and go for the first 2 weeks. Can you believe that I read stories to you on YouTube for that entire time when I was actually quite sick? How much do you love me for my, like, give me 10 points for effort. Of course you got all the spiralling trauma activation that came with me fighting to keep myself alive, but, so that was a bit hair curling, wasn't it, people of Earth? But, you know, if you're on this channel and you've read my, you know, introduction for this channel, you understand my background. You have a bit of an insight into why I'm like this. Not like other people. Didn't have a normal upbringing. Just saying. Anyway, we'll carry on. We're not going to wallow in shit today. We're going to carry on reading about other people that didn't have normal backgrounds and, ended up having quite extreme ways of expressing themselves. Apparently it's time to stand. This is why I don't like these things telling me how to live my life. Fuck off. I'll get up and stand up when I want to, not when a machine tells me to. Right, where was I? I'll just repeat that sentence. Around that time, the Sudbury Charter of the Hells Angels was folding, as Campbell was profoundly dissatisfied with the quality of membership candidates. Little did Campbell know that, as he was discussing shifting his membership to the Angels' downtown Toronto charter, Shaky Dave was wearing a police body pack recording device to downtown meetings. He also wore it when he partied and snorted cocaine with the Red Line crew, an Angels-affiliated club in London. Shaky Dave would later say that at times he snorted coke in clubhouses to keep up appearances, since he had a reputation as a frequent cocaine user. Shaky Dave remained an outgoing chatterbox type of guy, and on April 5th, 2006, he was able to pull Mehrdad Juicy Barman into talking about submachine guns. Barman belonged to the Richmond Hill Foundation, a Hells Angels junior support club. He boasted to Shaky Dave that his Uzi was beautiful and he would show it to him sometime, then added that he had plenty of security cameras at his home. On May 31, 2006, Shaky Dave's body pack picked up Toronto Hells Angels discussing the folding of Campbell's Sudbury Charter. Members of the downtown Toronto Charter weren't all excited about the prospect of absorbing Sudbury's remaining members. I don't think we should take 4 guys as a package deal, said Scottish-born Toronto member Mark Stables. I think we should assess each one of these guys by themselves because, you know, I don't have a problem with Lorne Campbell. I get along great with him. Ian Watson, on the other hand. Did you eat all the chicken, my little handsome love? My little fat boy out in the rain? Are you going to drop me one of your beautiful kookaburra tail feathers as a gift for all the chicken I give you? No, Mama T, you only give me scraps. He's got a point, you know. Well, I'm just putting it out there, okay? You can drop me a tail feather and I'll give you even more chicken. He says, but you'll give me chicken without me giving you a tail feather, Mama T. Yes, I know, I'm just trying to wheedle and inveigle and grovel a little bit. I'm grovelling to you, bird. You never see me grovel to anyone. He's turned his back. This conversation is over. Not grovelling to you, bird. You festy, wormed wild bird. It's flown away in disgust. Don't know why I'm obsessing about tail feathers lately. What's that about? It's a song, isn't it? Shake your tail feather. Must be a message from me from Great Spirit Creator. Right. I shared this story on Facebook yesterday afternoon, but I haven't shared it with YouTube. But you're going to have a bit of a laugh about this. So I'll tell you the story. So I had a debrief at 1:45, but I went a bit earlier because I went to Pet City to buy toys for my handsome boys. And I was standing facing the bird room they have in that pet store. I won't name which pet store because I don't want to get the young man into trouble. He won't be in trouble for that, but I just give him a bit of... I will name his first name is Josh, but I won't, I won't go into too much detail about which store and that because... Anyway, it was funny as hell. In the morning, I'd watched, Maria Margulies, and she was so hilarious. And it must have just sparked me up a little bit, my innate cheekiness that occasionally slips out from time to time. Anyway, I'm standing with all these, the swing I bought for him and the other two toys, and I was trying to deliberate which ones would be the best ones to get and the right one for my birdie boys, and I'm all happy weighing it in my hands, and I hear this voice sort of half coughing and half choking, trying to get their words out behind me. It was like, Anyway, I turn around and it's young Josh, who's probably in his early 20s, But he's a lovely young man, and I've bought the other 2 cages from him. He sold to me, and he's just very lovely, affable, sweet young man. Old enough to be my grandson, bear in mind. Anyway, I had on my black tights and my studded boots and my animal print dress, but I had my back to him. But anyway, I don't know what that was about. Maybe he just had a frog in his throat, but... I look kind of sexy for an old lady because that outfit is a bit stimulating to the male gaze, you understand. But I wore it because I was trying to keep warm and avoid, because horrible rainy wintry day yesterday too. Anyway, so I had my back to him and he's coughing and stammering over his words. And I turn around and I recognise the young man, So I smile. And he said, I'm sorry, I just can't quite get my words out. How may I help you? In this really courtly, really polite, really sincere, sweet way. And, the devil made me do it. I couldn't help myself. I said, oh, that's all right, darling. I said, it won't be it's not the first time that I've taken a man's breath away, and smiled. And he just looked at me. You know what? I think he's a little bit on the autistic spectrum. He didn't even blush. He just sort of went like this. Just gave this very passive expression. And frankly, I thought it was fucking hilarious, and I was expecting him to laugh, but he didn't. I think he was a bit flattered, but I was partially joking, because he's a young man, and just saw the funny side of it. Anyway, he steps forward and he says, I was looking at some perch with calcium perch, going into a bit more detail for you on YouTube than I did when I wrote it out on Facebook. And I said, I'm looking at maybe buying this calcium perch for my little cockatiel. I said, he absolutely loves cuttlefish. He's devoured it. He's gone insane for it. I said, I'm already onto a second one. He said, those calcium perches are okay, but he said, cuttlefish is actually better. And he said, the leftover cuttlefish you've got, just crumble it all up and mix it. You can mix it in a cardboard box and with cat litter, the crumbly kind, and let them forage for it, and he'll love that. And he said, with a bit of shredded paper. So that was good advice. And so I'm looking at him. I went, oh, that's a good idea. I said, oh, well, I'll wait till he runs out of cuttlefish before I come and buy another one. And I've got to go to a beach somewhere. I don't know when the cuttlefish season is, but I've got to keep an eye, you know, walk along a beach and pick up my own, because it's quite expensive to buy in the pet shops. And why, when you can pick it up for free on the beach, am I right? Anyway, that's something to do in the warmer weather. Anyway, he's such a lovely young man. He got terribly excited and he was telling me all about his own birds and their personalities and how they're all different. I mean, the differences between the different breeds and all their personalities. Went into great detail, spoke for a long time, and I was wearing these earrings, my handmade snake earrings that I made from, you know, sterling silver antique spoons, which I'm quite proud of actually. And he must have observed me wearing the snake, so he said, come over here, and he walks ahead of me and shows me all the snake enclosures. And one of the snakes just slithered up, a little tiny black-headed python, black diamond python or something. Shiny black head and black neck, but then it goes to different colorations. And honestly, it was a beautiful snake. And I'm feeling really happy and seen and respected and kind of a bit loved by this young man. Nothing sexual or weird, even though what I said was quite flirtatious, you understand. But he's just such a sweetheart, that boy. He really is. And I never had grandchildren. And, you know, if my daughters had had children at the age I had them, he could have been my grandson, am I right? Almost. Not quite. He's a little bit older, but anyway, he's a lovely kid, is what I'm saying. Really a lovely kid. So the snake's rising up and looking at me, and it starts scenting with its little tiny black little forked tongue, and I'm almost nose to nose with it because I just have this instant connection. I've got this thing, I don't know what it's about, for baby snakes. I've never had a pet snake, and I wouldn't keep a pet snake because those bloody things get enormous. And you have to feed them rats and mice, and I'm scared of feeding them rats and mice, so gross. And also, you know, how would I clean their cages when I've got a phobia of the larger snakes, am I right? But anyway, but this little soul, this little black python's looking at me, and they emanate such love, baby snakes. If you ever go to a pet shop and you're not terrified of snakes, go and see what I'm talking about. Maybe it's just me because I'm a wood snake in Chinese astrology, but I've had several occasions where I've felt this powerful, beautiful energy emanating from serpents. Sybil did it too when she lived here for 12 days. I was terrified of her for the first 4 or 5 days, but then all of a sudden we had this symbiosis, and I never got too close to her, you understand, because she was a full-grown, massive, big carpet python. But it got to the stage where she would just come out and look at me like this. And I'd be like, how are you, Sybil? Good morning. And I'd talk to her, and she'd just sort of listen, you know, because they can't hear very well, snakes, but they can feel vibration, you know. She would just look at me. And she would emanate such peace and love. It was kind of a love energy. It's bizarre. It's quite bizarre. I never thought, until I met the first baby snake, which was Lynn Sloan's neighbour, quite some years ago now, it'd be about 6 or 7 years ago. I went to visit him, and I knew he kept snakes, but I never in a million years thought he would do this. And we're just walking around his shed, you know, and he says, oh, hold your hand out, Tanya, and hold this for me. And I just put my hand out, all trusting, didn't even occur to me. And next thing, he dropped a baby diamond python in my hand. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, my initial reaction was like, oh, got a bit of a fright because I didn't expect him to drop a little baby snake in my hand. But then I was looking at it and it was weaving in amongst my fingers and smiling at me. We had an instant connection, and he even said to me, his name's Carl, he even said to me, do you want to take it home and raise it, Tanya? He said, you're in love with that snake. I went, look, Carl, I've fallen in love with your baby diamond python, but I said, it'll get big and I'd have to look after it and clean it and do things with it, and I'm kind of in love with this baby, but it's not going to stay a baby, you understand? And he just laughed. But Lynn actually took some lovely photos of me with that little baby snake, and we were just communing, you know. So this little black-headed python at the pet shop was also fascinated with me. I'm like, what is it about me that attracts real serpents, but also vicious fucking snakes in the grass too, mind you, but we won't think about them. Anyway, so then young Josh kind of casually observes me, you know, falling in love with the snake. Oh, you're in with Bo now. Oh, okay. You be nice to Bo. You be nice to he's your cockatiel brother. Look at them, they're so cute. That's threatening to kill him. Be careful, Bo. Be careful. So anyway, so then Josh takes me over to the next cage and enclosure that had very large praying mantises, so big they fit in his hand. Big ones. Put one in his hand. He said, these make great pets for children, but they only live a year. I went, oh, so you're teaching children about grief and heartache, losing your pet so early in the piece. He said, yeah, but it's okay because they always lay eggs, so you always get baby mantises and you start off again, and the kids love that. And I'm like, I wouldn't love that. I'd be still heartbroken over my attachment to the previous mantis, because I get attached to people of Earth. Anyway, he was telling me that he keeps 6 funnel web spiders as pets, and he said, would you believe they each have their own... Oh, Kermie. Kermie, no, Kermie, no, bad bird. He said, would you believe they each have their own distinct personalities? And I just smiled because I had a family of golden orb spiders that lived here for about a year. And I would say to them, I would meditate and commune with them, and I'd say, you can live here in perfect harmony at Sacred Space with the Mamati, with the Tanya, provided you no longer make your webs at eye level so that I walk into them at night or in the garden. I said, because I destroy your webs and you have to rebuild them, and I get grossed out from your webs being in my face, and I don't really want you in my face. So I actually said this verbally to these spiders. I said, if you want to live with me, you need to live up in the eaves and catch all the bugs that fly around at night. Usually flying cockroaches, actually, in the summertime. And do you know what? As if they understood perfect English, they did. They moved their eaves up, their webs, up high in the eaves. They understood what I was asking them to do to be safe, so we could all live in perfect harmony. So I'm just smiling at this young man because I didn't want to tell him that story because it sounds a bit crazy, you understand. Although he would have understood. I think he would have got it. But anyway, and then I said to him, I just came to get toys today, but I said, you've been so lovely, and I do want to buy an outside cage for my cockatiel, and I was going to put it off for a few more weeks. I said, but I'm just going to get it today. But I'm kind of in a hurry now because I've got an appointment with my psychiatrist. And he nodded. So I quickly bought everything. you know, shoveling it into my car, and I drove off. I made my appointment in perfect time too. I did very well yesterday. Very well, I had a lovely day. I went to Garden City afterwards and had lunch, and then I bought a few groceries. And even the people walking around Woolworths and the checkout lady were, you know, extra friendly and lovely. It's just, some days are like that, isn't it? Where everyone's just emanating joy and love and happiness and sanguinity, and they're just perfect days, really perfect days. So here we go, people of Earth. We'll carry on reading the story. In the end, Toronto accepted just Campbell from the Sudbury Charter. Right. Member Carl Stoyan told Charter President John Winner Neale that he'd also welcome Campbell. Fucking Lorne Campbell is a fucking heavyweight. I'm fucking happy to have the guy fucking here. I'm reading it how it's written, people of Earth. Also, it's just a word. Vice President Doug Miles was captured by Shaky Dave's hidden recording device, saying he welcomed Campbell as a solid member, although he was considered no financial wizard. Lorne is a great guy, just don't do any business with him. He's no good with money, but stand beside you in a bar and everything, and he's a great guy. I wonder why they didn't think he was good with money. Anyway, in mid-April, you being nice, my boys? Yes. Just going to keep an eye on them a bit. Move this way. We'll move this way so I can have them under surveillance. In mid-April 2006, who's grinding their beak? Oh, I know you're eating. Okay, thought he was grinding his beak, which is a sign of happiness with birds, apparently. Anyway, in mid-April 2006, the downtown Hells Angels heard a rumour that there was an informant in their midst and that he was a former Paradise rider. A police source also told them they could expect a raid at the Eastern Avenue clubhouse in 6 weeks. Rumours are part of the fabric of life for an outlaw biker, and this one didn't generate any particular fear at first. A report filed to the Ontario Provincial Police Biker Squad on September 27th, 2006 read, Agent 3859 attends a Hells Angels meeting. Larry Paula tells the agent about going to the Indian reservation with Lorne Campbell and getting a whole bunch of cigarettes. He buys them for 10 and sells them for 15 or 20 a carton. Shaky Dave's hidden bug picked up Donnie Peterson, saying he had a certain respect for Bernie Ginden's old rival, Johnny Sombrero, who was still alive and kicking on the fringes of the outlaw biker scene. Johnny Sombrero's a strong man. His whole life he's been strong. Strong man means something else. someone who leans on you for money, for drug deals, etc., or for the takings from strippers, or, you know, gets your money out of ya in no uncertain terms, usually with violence. Anyway, the Charter's Vice President, Larry Pooler, replied that he had heard stories about how Sombrero checked in or requested to go into protective custody, PC, while behind bars. Campbell had nothing but scorn for those who check in. That's about the weakest thing you can do in jail. There are guys who would rather die than go to PC. I can imagine. The hidden bug picked up Pooler laughing at the thought of Sombrero requesting protective custody, and Peterson answering back, "Not Lorne Campbell tough, I guess." On the surface, Shaky Dave didn't seem too worried about the rumour of a rat in their midst. Under the surface, he felt increasingly alone and stressed. The more stressed Shaky Dave felt, the more he snorted cocaine. And the more he snorted cocaine, the more Peterson and John Neal, no relation to Carmen Neal, chided him to clean up his act. Oddly, Shaky Dave was getting the same anti-drug advice from his police handlers. Well, if you can't control your addiction, drugs are bad, okay? Really bad. Can kill you. You've got to know how to handle yourself, and the drugs often take over, people of Earth. Or the people associated with it can be bad for you too. Anyway, I'm so grateful that as a trauma survivor of child sexual abuse, that I never went down that fucking abyss. Really grateful. Had to drag my friend's daughter a few times up and out of it, but I mean, she was a highly intelligent woman and fought hard for herself and survived her own abject horror. I wonder if she's still alive to this day, actually. But we fought hard for that girl, keep her on the straight and narrow, you understand? Wow. It's a spiralling abyss into hell, heroin addiction. It really is. Not everyone survives it. On September 27th, 2006, and yeah, I know a few survivors actually. Some of them live in my neighbourhood. 2 live in my neighbourhood. They're doing very well actually. They've survived heroin. And that young lass, who wouldn't be that young anymore. How old am I? 60. I think she was a few years older than my daughters, so yeah, she'd be in her very early 40s now. If she's still alive, I don't know. I'm not going to go and look for her. It was too much dragging her sorry ass through that fucking hellscape. Too much. And then they turned on me like, not her, but the rest of the family turned on me like rabid dogs. So I can't be asked. You understand. Did my apprenticeship of pain with that particular family. On 27th of September 2006, a police bug picked up a conversation at the Hells Angels clubhouse where the topic was Paris Christoforou, the Sergeant-at-Arms for the London, Ontario Charter, and Peter Scacella, a Toronto area mobster. The two men were both in prison for their roles in a case that had mortified the Ontario Hells Angels and the general public and left a mother of three permanently injured. Back on April 21, 2004, Louise Rousseau had been standing at the counter of a sandwich shop in Toronto when a van pulled into the parking lot and two men inside opened fire. Christopherou's bullets missed. Getting blurred vision. I must be tired. Christopherou's bullets missed, but a second shooter, mob associate Antonio Jelly Borelli, shattered Rousseau's spine. Both men were aiming at Michel Modica, a man reportedly linked to the Sicilian mafia, who was trying to evade a gambling debt. Modica escaped without a scratch, while Rousseau was paralysed for life. At the time of the shooting, the Angels were in the midst of a public relations blitz aimed at countering the bad press coming out of the Quebec drug wars. The club had posted a billboard alongside the northbound Don Valley Parkway in Toronto with the words, "Still fighting for democracy and freedom." They had also taken out newspaper ads, run toy drives for sick children, and made an online push in support of food banks. Immediately after the shooting, the Hells Angels Central Canadian branch issued a statement saying the club extends our heartfelt sympathy to Rousseau and her family. The statement described the shooting as an indiscriminate, dreadful action, adding that the club was sickened by the senseless act of violence that has violated Mrs. Rousseau's life. Scacella only became involved in a plot to murder Modica after Rousseau was shot. Once caught, Borelli was sentenced to 10 years in prison, while Scacella and Christopherou each plea bargained for 9-year prison terms. Each of these sentences was on top of time served awaiting trial. Their deal also included a $2 million contribution towards Rousseau's medical care. The botched hit, appalling publicity, and prison time didn't help relations between the Angels and Scacella's mob group. It is true Paris did punch out Scacella, Peterson was recorded as saying. Shaky Dave's Wire picked up Angels talking about how Christopherou had been transferred out of Ontario to Donnacona Institution in Quebec because he was considered incompatible with an inmate. For his part, Campbell considered the accidental shooting of Louise Rousseau to be another sign of declining standards in the outlaw biker world. In a well-done hit, there are no family or children or bystanders in the line of fire. The shooter has the nerve to walk up close to his target and isn't afraid to look his target in the eyes. Any fool with a gun and a vehicle can do a drive-by. That's why I hate drive-bys. If you have an enemy, walk up and shoot the enemy in the head. Don't shoot somebody else. 2012 comes to mind. Just saying. In July 2006, Campbell had plans to go fishing with Evelyn, Shaky Dave, and Shaky Dave's wife. They rented a cottage, and Campbell brought along some rare Hells Angels movies. Things started badly when Shaky Dave dropped Campbell's big screen television and VCR while unloading it from their SUV. Evelyn, much less than half his size, carried them inside instead. When the TV and VCR were hooked up, Campbell pulled out his prized copy of the 1983 movie Hells Angels Forever, starring Ralph Sonny Barger. Shaky Dave recoiled like a vegan served a heaping platter of steak tartare and abruptly said no, he wasn't interested in watching that. Rain made the 3-day trip seem much longer, and the nearby pickerel and trout remained safe from the bikers. There was some excitement when Atwell's little pug, Brutus, ate Campbell's eyewear as Campbell was stepping out of the shower. I'd be a bit bloody excited about that too. Glasses are expensive, people of Earth. No one thought much about Shaky Dave's dog being named after an infamous traitor, but its eating habits were jarring. I just heard crunch, crunch, crunch. His little pug was eating my glasses. I'd be livid. But, poor little dog doesn't know any different, does it? It's a bit like the Kermie eating his ladder. You're getting along like peas and potatoes, you two. From a distance of about just over a foot and a half. Uneasy peace. That same summer, Shaky Dave managed to maroon his truck in a ditch by Campbell's home. That didn't come as a shock, since he had somehow steered Campbell's handheld snowblower into the same spot the previous winter. How do you do that? Campbell asked after the truck became stuck. Maybe I'm dumb, Shaky Dave replied. Maybe you are, Campbell thought. William, Mr. Bill Lavoie, hosted many demons in the seething cauldron between his ears. I wonder if he had them tattooed on his arm as well. Wonder what happened to that particular demon. He's probably died from drug overdose by now too. Mind you, he wasn't stupid. He was an asshole and a violent man. Bet his girlfriend constantly, they split up in the end. She got wise to him. But he actually had a brain underneath all that. Odd, isn't it? Really odd. I have to say, I was impressed by his intelligence from time to time. And I'll give him this much. For Courtney, my ex-boyfriend's 40th birthday, I didn't have very much money. did I buy him a present? I didn't have much money, but he expected me to pay for, yes, he expected me to pay for the steak and whatever we were going to have for the barbecue, which I cooked. Partly the reason why I cooked it was because I felt bad that I didn't contribute much for his birthday party, because I was fucking destitute, people of Earth. So I thought, oh, well, the least I can do is cook the barbecue, you know. In Australia, it's usually a male that takes over the barbecue and cooks, but they were all wanting to do speed that night and hoover the gunja and speed off their dial, and who gives a fuck, really? I'm not angry about the cooking. I was just angry at how obnoxious and rude they all were to me. Like, fuck them, really. Worst 40th birthday party I ever went to, apart from the Pedro checking on us and finding Gail grinding a pole, which was kind of amusing, actually. But anyway, I was worried about money, and I actually verbalised it, which is not like me. I usually don't admit to how poor I am, because it's degrading and awful and just soul-crushing. But I was very poor in those days, very, very poor. And very poor, because I had, at that point in time, were the girls still living with me? I can't remember. They moved out in 2006. Can't remember. But anyway, I was struggling, barely able to buy enough food for myself. Never mind put on a party. Jesus. And, you know, it was obnoxious of him to put me in that position, really. Should have broken up with him then and there. Anyway, I verbalised it to Skatey, and I said, I don't have much money, Skatey, and Courtney's asked me to put all this food on, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. I physically can't do it, and, you know, he's going to be upset and think I'm being stingy. I said, it's not stinginess. I would happily, you know, contribute happily. I said, but I just simply can't afford it. And you know what? He was actually decent, because he loved Courtney a lot, you know. They were good mates. And he actually gave me, was it $40 or $50? I can't remember now, but it was quite a large chunk of money. He said, that's all right, Tanya. I'll give you the money and you just buy, you know, the food, and he'll never know that it wasn't you that had the money. He won't know. He didn't tell him. Or he might have told him maybe later. I don't know. But he never told him, I don't think. He spotted me that money. So although he could be a very savage, vicious man, and, you know, that friendship or that shred of respect ended when he threatened me with a samurai sword, you understand? But this was a few years, because I was with Courtney for 5 years. So it must have been a couple of years prior to that. I actually had a lot of respect for him doing that. I said, that's very kind of you. Very, very kind. He says, don't worry about it. He says, I make good money in the warehouse and I'm in the union and I'm doing well. He says, I can easily afford it, Tanya. Don't worry about that. So he must have took pity on me, because he didn't particularly like me, you understand. But he must have took pity on me for that party, because he must have known they'd spent all this money on fucking drugs and speed, and I was sweating on how I was going to feed everybody, being all upright and honest and decent and, you know, a decent fucking girlfriend, not dabbling in fucking heavy drugs and not being a fucking cuntish arsehole, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. He must have seen. I suppose he was raised very poor too. His mother had him very extraordinarily young. I think his mother was Scottish. So there'll be a backstory to all that shit show of horror, him with all his demons that I painstakingly drew the outline for his tattoo on his arm. it was a weird acquaintanceship. I wouldn't call him a friend per se, but he was Courtney's friend, you know. Anyway, but I'm always fair. I'm always fair, people of Earth, and I remember both the good and the bad. Pity the bad outweighed the good in the end, because motherfuckers, but they were all motherfuckers, what they did to me. It was vicious, for which, to this day, some of them probably should fucking die, but I'm over it now. It's been 15 years. I've kind of gotten over it. But yeah, I wanted to just say how that was kind of him to bail me out, give me the money. Look, probably it wasn't really a kind, probably behind my back he's going, your girlfriend's a loser, and on the disability pension, she's whacked out on psych meds all the time, and she's got no money, and she can't even contribute. You know, he probably weaponised it, you know, probably did. But however it works, weaponised or used against me, or however it worked, that was very kind. Keep me sweet with the Courtney, because we kind of loved each other at that point of time, I guess. Can you call it love, really? We kind of had a bond at that point of time. Based on what? I don't know. It's one of the weirdest relationships I've ever had in my life, but it lasted, well, apart from my marriage lasting 10.5 years, which was awful, we got along for most of that 5 years, Courtney and I. We did. Well, neither of us were there mentally, were we? Just weren't there. He wasn't there because he was mapped out on ganja and speed and alcohol, and I wasn't there because I was mapped out on Zyprexa and Abilify and Surzone and Effexor and Cipramel. I mean, not all at the same time, you understand. But I was doing the big pharma dance, that small corner in hell. Prozac, Surzone, Zoloft, what's the one where they were killing their partners on it after 40 years of marriage? I think it was Zoloft. The first one they put me on was Prozac, which was a great diet pill. I lost so much weight on that, but it didn't help my complex PTSD one iota. And I was freshly re-traumatised from the strangulations. Fuck that shit. Anyway, Prozac, Surzone. I wrote a list of it once. It blows your head back how many different antidepressants I trialled, trying to be a good little girl, keep my psychiatrist happy and my government happy, while they were slowly poisoning me to death. It's what it really was. Now let's see. Prozac, Surzone, Cipramel. Then they put me on antipsychotics because I was getting psychotic from time to time. Oh no, they put me on the antipsychotics a very low dose because they thought it would quell my anxiety. It didn't actually. It just turned me into a drooling, shuffling automaton. So by the time I was with Courtney, I'd already been on 6 or 7 different antidepressants, and at that time I was on Abilify, which didn't Abilify me for anything, but nearly was fucking killing me. And then they put me on Cogentin, which sent me blind for 4 days because my former beloved, he was beloved because he was a wonderful elderly psychiatrist. He was a wonderful man, but he was getting dotty and he overdosed me. Put me on a too high dose of Cogentin for my involuntary arm jerking. which was embarrassing also. That was at the point of time when my former friend Gail said, I can't be seen with you in public anymore. You shuffle and drool and your arm jerks like a mental patient, and I don't want to be seen with you in public. Fucking bitch she was. Real snake in the grass. Anyway, so I had the Cogentin, went blind, went off that. The jerking of the arm stopped, but then instead I kept losing feeling in my left leg. Remember I told you that I had no feeling in my left leg after having an epidural and was nearly permanently paralysed. So that started to come back on and off from about 2016 to 2018. I'd have episodes of not being able to walk properly and dragging my leg along. That was terrifying, utterly terrifying, because I feared that I would lose the ability to walk properly and end up in a chair or something. Anyway, that happened after I'd weaned off all the psych meds, interestingly, in May 2016. Yes, the thing with the leg happened. I'd had quite a few bites from ticks. So I think it was Lyme-like disease that caused the partial paralysis of my leg. Crystal came back from the UK and we went to celebrate by going to Cuchi-Mudlow Island for the day on the little ferry over there. It's a lovely outing. And I could barely walk. I was dragging my left leg a bit behind me. And you know what? Jared and Crystal, they are my family and I do love them. But they were fucking oblivious to how much I was struggling to walk. And it got worse as it got late in the evening and I was getting tired and I was dragging. They had no idea. And I wasn't on any medications at that point in time because I'd weaned off them all. I went to my GP. She wanted to put me on. She put me on Mobic and Lyrica and did nothing. I said, "You're just poisoning me. It does nothing." She got angry with me because they're paid to peddle all these drugs to you, you understand? And they don't believe me when I tell them they don't do anything. Every fucking antidepressant ever invented in the known universe did nothing, people of Earth. Neither did the antipsychotic medications. Where did I go from that? Yeah, so at that 40th birthday, they're all off their heads, speeding off their dials, and I'm off my head on my psych meds. And I'd had a little puff of ganja as well, so I was, doing okay, people of Earth, flying. And they were all off their heads on drugs, and well, I was too. Psychiatric drugs and that little bit of a spliff, and anyway, the whole thing was just madness. But I to this day, I was grateful that Skatey bowed out at least to help out with, so I could put food on the table and not look like a complete degenerate fucking asshole, you understand? I want to cry when I think about it, what I've gone through and survived and how I've been treated by men that were supposed to love me. Really want to cry. And then when I'm finished crying, I want to go to war on their heads. Swings and roundabouts at Titania's realm, you understand? Anyway, let's carry on with the story. I segued at the word. Demon seething in a seething cauldron between his ears. Because it's a bit like that sometimes, people of Earth. I manage my demons and my angels remarkably well. More to the point, they manage me. We've integrated and made peace with all that is, was and ever shall be, babies. You're being such good boys today. The sun came out a little bit and I thought about rushing you outside, but it's still shitty and murky, so no. And you're my good boy, Bo. Bo's a good boy. Yes, he is. I love you. Kirby's a good boy too. Kirby's snoozing. He's got his head tucked behind him under one wing. You snoozy boy. What do you, little baby? You're my little baby. I'd love to hold a little baby in my arms again. I would have loved to have held my own grandchildren in my arms. I've been robbed, people of Earth. I've been robbed by the COVIDian madness. Anyway, my baby girl, my eldest one, is 40 in November, and my younger one she's 18 months younger. She must be 39 now. Wait a minute, she was born in 1987. She's 38 now. By the gods. My mother was 38 when she had me. 38 and almost 40. It's no good crying over it because it's not in my control. It's not in their control either. None was worse than the real-life haunting provided by Stephen Hannibal Galt, a biker he had sponsored into the Satan's Choice. Galt was a career rat who had been informing to police since his high school days. And Mr. Bill was a career outlaw biker with 33 years in the Satan's Choice before he joined the Angels in 2000. Need a cup of tea, people of Earth. It's been a long video. Been flying all over the place, going back into ancient memories and drifting in the windmills of my mind. Mr. Bill didn't catch wind of Galt's true nature until after his sponsored spiritist told me, You'll be more solid and clear when you get rid of this illness. You'll come back to full cognition, Tanyala. Thank you, angels. I hope so. By the gods, I hope so. Meandering around as I do. Well, at least I know that I'm still capable of a little bit of sexual joking around, being silly like I was yesterday. That was hilarious. Didn't think I still had it in me, people of Earth. I thought I'd killed it all, but it's still under there, deep down in my psyche and libido lambada, chiquitata, Latanya is back in the room. But don't get too excited, gentlemen of Earth. I'm waiting for my real love, who's crazy about being but not crazy, and is genuine and authentic and chooses me from his own heart, mind, body and spirit and even soul, though soul belongs to God. But, you know, one day. Mr. Bill didn't catch wind of Galt's true nature until after he had sponsored him into the choice. And suddenly he was faced with a challenge, much like putting a pin back into a grenade. Risky business, that. Wouldn't recommend trying it either. Galt had once belonged to the Travellers, a group of swindlers who targeted seniors living on farms in eastern Ontario with renovation scams. Oh, that's just fucking nasty. One elderly farmer was bilked for $260,000 for repairs to his property that were never done. Galt's behaviour only got worse when he joined the Choice. After he got his full patch, time to stand. I might actually stand because my arse cheeks are twitching. Right, let's do a little jiggle and a wriggle and a... Here we go, people of Earth. It's all jiggling. Jiggle the fat, jiggle the fat, jiggle the fat. Right, that's too much exercise. The fat has to sit its ass down now. Got to maintain this physique. It's my Bodicea armouring, you understand? No, seriously, when the weather starts warming up a bit more and my asthma settles back down, I'm going to start walking again. It's good for me, and, you know, I've got to get this Bodicea armouring just a little bit eviscerated. Maybe start with a little bit, maybe keep going. What would a slim, healthy Tanya be capable of? I'd be fucking dangerous. That's probably why I stay fat and unavailable and pristine and a bit fucking precious, you understand? All the women that watch my channel just burst out laughing because they know how that goes. Sighs, just short for psychedelic dreamer sighs. Yes, I have my own shtick. Been doing it for a long time. Probably used to that by now. Some of you who know me in real world are used to it. It's not narcissism. It's just my little wry sense of humour and how I exist in this weird, fucked up world. Gotta have your own shtick and something solid and tangible to hold on to. Galt's behaviour only got worse when he joined the Choice. After he got his full patch, he thought he was king of the world, which tells me he's a bit of a wanker actually, but you get that. Says Galt's former wife, Linda. Galt was nicknamed Hannibal for his taste for blood, which he demonstrated one evening in the eastern Ontario town of Campbellford when he bit off a chunk of a man's ear in a bar fight. Told you he was a wanker. When we would make him steak for supper, his was just with spices, raw, not even on the grill for a little, Linda recalls. Yuck. Still remember David Davidson taking me out for dinner. He professed to be a vegetarian. Ordered a blue steak. A blue steak is a steak that's just been quickly seared on both sides. It's still raw, but it's just got that little bit of warmth on both sides. Raw. He sat there and ate raw fucking meat in front of me and wondered why I'm not even a vegetarian, but I will never eat my meat bloody. I can't abide that. I start vomiting in my mouth along the lines of, if you try and feed me shellfish. I'm repulsed by that. I had to sit there and watch that nudnik eat this blue steak, devouring it like a wild animal. He was almost growling. I just looked, I said, who are you even? I don't even know who you are. Aren't you a fucking vegetarian? I am, he said, but I need the protein. I've been depriving of myself of protein because I've been working so hard. This very sexy Israeli accent. I don't even know who you are. You've done nothing but lie to me about who you are. I said, you're not even a vegetarian. You're supposed to know how to eat beans and build up all the protein with nuts and beans and legumes. He said, yes, that's correct, Tanya, but he said, I don't have time, I'm working too hard. I said, you're out of your fucking mind, and I'm sitting here watching you eat this. I'm going to actually vomit. Oh, it's not that bad, Tanya. Anyway, I had a beautiful chicken schnitzel. Oh my God, it was delicious. He said, you enjoyed that chicken schnitzel, but this is the best steakhouse in Brisbane, the Norman Hotel. I don't know if it still is, but it used to be. We're talking, this was 1999. I think it was 1999, 2000. I said, I know it's the best steakhouse in Brisbane, I said, but I had so much steak in my marriage that it put me off eating steak. And I said, at least when I order chicken, I know exactly what I'm going to get. It won't be half fucking raw or bloody or oozing or, you know, it shouldn't be anyway. So, that's another memory that popped up. People eating raw meat. It's disgusting. I find that disgusting. It really is. I was disgusted by that man that day, lying about his true, you know, dietary proclivities. If you lie about that, what else have you lied about, you fucking thing? Hate liars. Then he wanted me to drive him to Friday so he could hook up. I said, I'm not doing that. Oh, but I bought you dinner. I went, get out of my car. There's the bus station. Fuck off. I kicked him out of my car and I drove home. That's probably why he married that schlumper, isn't it? Schlumper, I mean. Yeah, that's why. She was oh so accommodating. Fucking thing it was. Anyway, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that because I knew he had some kind of personality defect. Who pretends to be a vegetarian and then eats blue steak? Jesus. Not Jesus, but you know what I mean. Be who you are. Be real. Be authentic. Right. The only time I'll accommodate a split personality is if they actually do have, you know, multiple DID disorder from actual trauma. But all these people that run around faking who they are all the time and they're not, you know, mentally unwell and they're not trauma survivors. They're just gimps. Mama T ain't got no time for that, darlings. Right, here we go. I realise the gimp word is a loaded word with connotations. I don't belong to that subculture either, just saying. But, you know, you see them. They turn up, you know, out in the club scene, the music scene. I just look at them and I just nod and think, you fucking One night, there was an actual dom out with her submissive. I was intrigued. I find it intriguing, like, it amuses me. Don't want to live that lifestyle, but it amuses me. And I was just watching this couple and I thought, my God, she was so weird, kept trying to press into me all the time, leaning into me all the time, obsessed with me she was. Big fat mama, fatter even than me. She was so fucking annoying. I just looked at her and she backed off. Backed off from my evil eye. But anyway, and then I looked at them a bit later on. I was trying to work out what was going on. I worked it out. She was a dominatrix and he was his subby, and she must have thought it was funny to try and lure me into their torrid little cosplay. No, fuck off with your bullshit. There's clubs for that, specific clubs where you can, you know, do your little fucking, what do they call it? It's not cosplay, it's role play. Fuck off with your bullshit, honestly. But they always come to me, I don't know why. Why do they come to me? I'm not the least bit interested in that. I just laugh at them. I laugh at both of them, the subby and the dom, thinking they're so shit hot. And really, they're both same. Piss weak, disintegrated, haven't got their shit together. Mind you, they make lots of money and I don't, but I'm talking about, the psychology behind it, the narcissism and the psychopathy that goes with that. They're just sick, twisted motherfuckers most of the time. I know, I grew up with them. Auntie Erica, for example. Poor Auntie Erica, ringing us every Christmas Eve, the German Christmas, crying, drunk out of her mind, alone and distressed, to being a dominatrix all her life, making plenty of money. That's how she ended up. Old, alone and discarded. Wow. Here I am, old, alone and discarded, for having the courage and the decency to fight against the COVID epoch and to stand up for my own honour and integrity and to say, no, hell no, I won't go, won't participate in your evil, perverted bullshit. So, Auntie Erica and I, same, ironically. Let's be fair here. She offered once when I got engaged to my then fiancé. She said, I'll teach you everything I know about the business when your marriage goes wrong. And it will go wrong. That woman was highly astute and intelligent, and obviously a bit psychic too, because she knew my marriage would go wrong before anyone else did. Sometimes I wonder if I'd followed her into her chosen trade, if I'd done well at that and prospered, or if I just would have ended up on smack and dead in the gutter instead. Can go either way in that lifestyle, because it's twisted and perverted and a bit fucking sordid and evil, unless you've got the mental calibration to rise above all that bullshit. But anyway, the Mama T never went into that. She did consider it at one time, came a bit close actually, but not for me. I don't like degrading other human beings. I don't derive any kind of sexual stimulation or pleasure from sadism, or, if I eviscerate people, it's because they've been bullying and awful to me. Then consider yourself completely vaporized, motherfuckers. But I don't go around life being cruel and othering and racist and homophobic and transphobic and ugly to other humans, because bottom line, life's short and it's about guarding your soul and keeping yourself pristine and liking yourself. I don't ever want to exemplify those kinds of people. They're empty, they're soulless, they're zombified, and most of the time they're brain dead too. Dead before long time before they eventually die. Dead inside and outside, and ugly as fuck. So ugly, which is the worst kind of ugliness, people of Earth. Right, where were we? David Davidson eating blue steak. Ugly as fuck. I never saw anything more ugly than that man that day. I told him to his face, I've just lost all desire for you and respect for you. Show me who you're really not. A liar and a deceiver and a fake man. Right. I've called him in and he's come in and said, I'm sorry, Tanya. Sorry doesn't cut it anymore. It's too little too late. After Galt was allowed into the Angels in the mass patchover of 2000, there was plenty more partying, cocaine and transgression, including a 2002 conviction for attempting to harass a Durham Region police officer and his family. A year later, Galt had a restraining order filed against him, forbidding him from having contact with Linda's family after she said he threatened to blow up their home with them inside. Well, the Rosilio babies pulled that stunt on me too. They really are twisted and evil and debauched. And I hope to all the gods, someone ends them one fine day. All of them. All of them. After their breakup, Linda began telling others in the biker world about her ex's deepest secret. That he was working undercover for the police. It might have sounded like something the angry ex-lover of a biker would say, but it also happened to be true. In fact, Galt received more than $1 million for his undercover work with police that helped land 21 Ontario Hells Angels and associates behind bars for drug, weapons and criminal organisation charges. Hello, what are you doing? Happy little birdies. One of the few people who listened seriously to Linda's warning was Mr. Bill, but his behaviour was already so bizarre and paranoid that he wasn't taken seriously now that he was right. Mr. Bill was trying to tell people Galt was a stool pigeon, even though he was the one who got him in. By September 7th, 2006, Mr. Bill had retired from the Angels in good standing. He was 60 now, making him somewhat of a greybeard in biker circles. Mr. Bill was killed that same day while riding his red Harley on County Road 8 near his home, just south of Warsaw, near Peterborough. A car was stopped at an intersection waiting for 2 trucks to pass through. When the trucks were gone, the car pulled into the intersection and crashed into Mr. Bill, killing him. The name of the driver who killed Mr. Bill wasn't released to the public, presumably to shield him or her from angry bikers, but charges were laid against the driver for failing to yield. Something about the story didn't sit right with Campbell as he attended Mr. Bill's funeral with more than 100 other bikers. It wasn't an official Hells Angels funeral since Mr. Bill had retired from the club, but they all wore club colours and black armbands with the words, "In memory of Mr. Bill," as they rolled through Peterborough. Roads were filled with inattentive drivers, and it's easy to see how a motorcycle could be hidden from view behind 2 trucks. Still, the weather had been good on the day of the crash, and Mr. Bill was riding on a familiar stretch of road. Mr. Bill was a good bike rider. He was eccentric, but he was a safe rider. So you can presume a lot from that, reading between the lines, that it was actually deliberate. Shaky Dave's recording device picked up bikers discussing a shooting at the Club Pro Strip Club in Vaughan on December 2nd, 2006. Bouncer Frank Cisco Lenti, formerly from the Bandidos, Satan's Choice, and several other clubs, had opened fire on West Toronto Hells Angels and Associates, believing he was the target of a hit. Squeezing off 7 shots in 6 seconds, Lenti killed David Dread Buchanan of the Angels and gravely wounded prospect Carlo Varelli, while sending Angel Dana Carnegie running for his life. Many bikers, including Campbell, liked and respected Lenti even though he wasn't with their club. Shaky Dave's police notes for December 4th, 2006 stated, Peterson says up until this happened, he had a good relationship with Frank and that Frank saved his life once. On January 30th, 2007, police were able to record a phone conversation between Campbell and member Robin Moulton. The topic of discussion was the need to toughen up membership requirements. I agree we could tighten it up, Campbell said. I agree with tightening it up. On February 6, 2007, Shaky Dave's bug caught Campbell again. This time, the topic was drug dealing. Shaky Dave said he would pay Campbell to set up a meeting with Sean Robinson, a fellow member, for a cocaine deal. On February 12, 2007, Robinson said he had spoken with Campbell about grabbing some white and agreed to sell a plate of cocaine to Shaky Dave. Nothing happened for the next week. At 10:50 a.m. on December 20th, 2007, Shaky Dave made an audio note with a tape recorder. I received the device and my instructions to talk to Lorne Campbell about a price of cocaine that he received from Sean Robinson. Shaky Dave noted that he drove to a Tim Hortons donut shop on Western Road in Toronto, where he met Campbell, who was parked in his Oldsmobile Cutlass. I parked and went up to him, Shaky Dave continued in his audio voice. He looked stressed. He was speaking very low and he whispered the number 34. I didn't hear him, so I stuck my head in the car window. I said, "Speak up for fuck's sake." He says, 34,000, and he put up his index finger, meaning for one. I said, "Yeah, that's it. That's good." I said, "What about you?" And he said, "Well, what about me?" I said, "Okay, well, I'll give you a G note on top of that." And he said, "Yes." Shaky Dave then added that he gave Campbell $50 for gas to drive to Kitchener. I know he's tight for cash. I didn't mind doing this. It's a sort of an investment in credibility. Shaky Dave's body pack recorded him talking with Campbell. Yeah, okay, Shaky Dave said. All right. Part of the thing was not to get you too involved. Yeah, Campbell said. See, I'm smart and I don't want anyone else involved. In true Shaky Dave fashion, he praised himself for his discretion and smoothness. Or try to be anyway, except for the constant lying. Campbell responded to the joke saying, oh yeah, fucking liar. On February 23rd, 2007, the deal was over. Yeah, we'll do this again next time, Shaky Dave said to Campbell. You're the man, Campbell replied. On February 26, 2007, Shaky Dave called Campbell and got himself invited to see him at his home near Orillia. There Shaky Dave made what appears to be an effort to pull Campbell into some sort of incriminating statement. First he handed over a payment for arranging the meeting. That's the 200. Oh, okay. Then he commented on the kilo of cocaine he'd purchased from Robinson. There was a fish stamped in it. Do you know anything about that? Was that anything to do with you? That sounds pretty fishy to me, Campbell said. Shaky Dave pressed on. Buddy, I looked at it. I went, wait a minute. Yeah, Campbell said. Big fish? Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea. The next day, Shaky Dave was crying on Campbell's shoulder like a nervous schoolboy. Others in the club suspected he was a rat, and Shaky Dave let on that his feelings were bruised. They suspected him because he was trying to start up drug deals with angels who weren't drug dealers. There were also questions about how he managed somehow to buy a new truck and a new Harley after scrounging for money not long before that. What will you do? Win the lottery? Campbell asked. Shaky Dave mumbled something about having a job but didn't go into any details, looking even shakier than usual. Evelyn and Campbell gave Shaky Dave and his bride an abstract glass sculpture in March 2007 for their wedding the previous summer. Shaky Dave and his bride were there for the weekend, and Evelyn had stuffed 2 chickens so that there would be plenty of seconds and even thirds if their hefty guest brought his appetite. My kind of hostess. I have a hefty appetite too, you understand. My half-sister in New Zealand once said to me, when they had her granddaughter was born, I said, I'll come for the weekend, I want to see the baby, because I love babies and it's the next generation of our family line, you understand. Don't bother coming, she said. We can't afford to feed you. I said, what, for the weekend? I'll bring my own fucking food. Don't bother coming, she said. The fucking ass-hole. Anyway, I do have a healthy appetite and quite partial to seconds. Maybe not thirds though. That would be greedy. Shaky Dave and his bride showed them an album of photos of their wedding in the Dominican Republic, and the Campbells presented them with their belated wedding gift. Then, without any warning, Shaky Dave stood up and made an odd excuse about how something had just come up. They really liked it, the gift. Then they took off. There was something wrong, Evelyn says. How old would that child be now? My great niece, whose mother I protected from the pedophile Trevor Singh when I was 14 years of age. How old would that child be? This was about 2009, 2010, 15 or 16. Wow. They're no family to me. No honour, no integrity, no decency. Trash is what they truly are. Her with her 3 degrees and her plum in her mouth and her thinking she's somehow better than me. Narcissistic, verminous trash. And we all know, don't we, people of Earth, the sword of Damocles swings both ways. Finally, Miles confronted Shaky Dave about the rumour that he was a rat. There was no conclusive outcome to the conversation, but discussions about such topics seldom end nicely. Miles clearly offended Shaky Dave. Shaky Dave's debriefing notes record that Campbell offered to listen to him in person, but Shaky Dave was too busy tending bar at the clubhouse to take him up on it. The agent tells Campbell he just finished a heartbreaking meeting with Doug Miles. The agent says that guys are talking behind his back and he's very upset. Campbell tells him to come up and the agent says he can't because he has to do his bar shift tomorrow, but he'll talk to Campbell tomorrow night for sure. The Angels kept the downtown Toronto clubhouse open 24 hours a day, ready to receive members from out of town whenever they might drop by. This was Shaky Dave's turn to make sure Angels could get in, and police and hostile bikers stayed out. When his shift was over, Shaky Dave disappeared forever from the outlaw biker life. We can infer from that whatever we like too. I'm a good guesser, people of Earth. Right, on that note, we'll finish here. We're up to chapter 29, which I shall continue tomorrow. It's a shortish chapter. Chapter 30 is about the same, really. Anyway, we'll continue tomorrow. My wonderful YouTube audience and YouTube subscribers and those of you who stumble across my videos and listen to my little segues and think, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? But it's all true, people of Earth. I hold to my truth. It's a mark of honour, and it's partly why I've survived everything. Bye for now, people of Earth. Blessed be.